This is a flea. That number one you see there is from an article that I found online ranking the flea the highest jumper of all of the animals. It says, it is usually claimed that the best jumper in the world is the flea. For their size, they are the longest and the highest jumpers of all animals. Fleas can jump 220 times their own body length and 150 times their own body height. That would be like us jumping nearly 400 meters in length whilst jumping over 250-meter high building. Impressive. Yet, in an experiment, a scientist placed a number of fleas in a glass jar. They quickly jumped out. He then put the fleas back into the jar and placed a glass lid over top. The fleas began jumping and hitting the glass lid, falling back down into the jar. After a while, though, the fleas eventually conditioned to the presence of the glass lid. They began jumping slightly below the glass lid, as in to not hit it. The scientist then removed the glass lid as it was no longer needed to keep the fleas in the jar. The fleas had learned to limit themselves from jumping beyond the height of the lid, even if the lid was removed, as they have been conditioned to the fact that they cannot escape that jar. This, of course, is an elephant, coming in at number 4 on the strongest animals in the world. An elephant is one of the largest animals on the planet. Of their largest species, they can get as big as 8 to 13 feet in height and weigh up to 7 tons. A ton is 2,000 pounds. That is 14,000 pounds. Elephants can lift up to a weight of 9 tons. Their trunk is also very strong. It contains more than 4,000 muscles and tendons that can carry 200 kilograms or 400 pounds of weight alone. Most of you probably haven't seen the documentaries or read stories about how the elephant trainers control their huge wild animals in captivity. A full-grown male elephant can easily measure again at around 8 feet and weigh up to 6 tons to 7 tons. But a baby elephant is quite manageable in size and strength and is easily restrained to a small area with one end of the chain fastened to its leg and the other end to a good-sized tree. But the elephant soon learns that escape is impossible. However, this inescapable condition will soon be outgrown. The question becomes, though, why doesn't the animal escape? Speaking of elephants, let's address the elephant in the room. I know you're thinking, what's the point? You're right. What if you're the elephant on the rope? What if you are that flea in that jar? What if there's something that is greater, that is deep down on the inside of you, is somehow being held captive? Think about it. You know, since you were a child, you were given these concepts and these ideals, whether it be religion, racism, politics, whatever. You tend to take on what your parents give you. When you're a child, though, and you hear these things, your mind doesn't take a hold to it easily. You ask questions. Things don't seem to make sense. You ask questions. But you're often told not to question, not to try to break free, not to try to think. Don't question means don't think. Because when it's God you're talking about, you don't have to ask a question out loud to ask a question. You can think it. So in Christianity, this is looked at as evil thoughts, and you want to cast those down, okay? And you cast them down in the name of Jesus. A baby elephant, it struggles at first. But when it becomes an adult, it doesn't. Why? The elephant, without even knowing, with one tug, can pull that peg or whatever out of that hole and walk away. But it doesn't. Maybe it feels as if it can't sustain itself. I mean, it has been in captivity its whole life. All of its food and nourishment has came from its owner or its captor. Who knows? Maybe the elephant has grown so accustomed to being in captivity that it doesn't even imagine its life untied. And maybe the elephant feels safe tied to the rope. it didn't make it to a full-grown adult age, maybe it feels that it's safe, or at least safer to be on the rope than to be free. And maybe the elephant doesn't think at all. Maybe the elephant was taught at an early age not to struggle, not to think. You know, a friend of mine, a new friend, he actually is a producer of movies and music. He does it all, but his passion though is movies. He told me, a picture speaks 1,000 words. Imagine what a movie will do. To me, that was amazing. I say that because when I look at this picture right here, I see this cage. And you have to imagine that to be able to fit inside of this cage, this bird and its wings cannot be as large as it appears to be. Therefore, this bird has flown above this cage so high that it casts a shadow so large that it actually consumes this cage. And now it appears larger than the cage itself. I love this picture because to me, that's what consciousness is like. That's what true freedom is like. It's being able to see the world for what it truly is and being able to think freely, not thinking within the confines of the cage that you were put in at an early age. I'm just saying, think about it. Now, I don't deal with beliefs. So regardless of belief, religion, or whatever, the pyramids all over the planet, okay? And we still can't explain how they were built. We have to understand that according to our findings, we have regressed. How did they build them then and we can't do it now, or even explain how they did it? I'm just saying, what if our intellect has been reduced by subscribing to these beliefs? Just think about it, that's all. I saw a documentary and it has what appeared to be really knowledgeable scholars, and they were all saying that with the information they had, which was a chisel and a hammer, that would have had to have been what they used to build these pyramids, because that's all they found. Now, so their intellect reduced to subscribing to that belief that they built these pyramids, or that that's all they had at the time, so that must have been how they built it. They also believe they built the Great Pyramid over the course of 20 years. That's actually impossible. Even if you don't subscribe to any of that, you say aliens built it. You know, for some reason, these aliens carved black people on the walls. I'm just saying, think about it. Really, if aliens built it, why would they carve humans on the walls? But see, Christians or religious people, they're not allowed to think like this.